Hello and welcome to the Utter Football Nonsense podcast. I'm your host for today, Hopi. Alongside me, you've got Dennis, Kieran, and Andrew. How you doing, lads?
All good. All good.
Yeah, I'm all right.
I'm good.
So we'll go over football teams for weekend. Liverpool, how do they do? How do they get on?
We won on the weekend. Obviously, we'll not talk about Tuesday after my take that we're going to get Champions League semi-finals. We'll not talk
You
about that.
never know. You never know. Northampton?
I'd rather not talk about it, to be honest. Can we move on? It was a
Oh.
rough Sunday.
Well, someone who didn't have a rough weekend was me with the Shrimps. 5-0 win. I'll take that. Jack Nolan hat-trick. How did
Manchester United badges still.
Yeah.
It's
you guys-
just,
Yeah,
they weren't in action this weekend, obviously.
No.
I think they're on
we're
midterm.
not good enough to be in the FA Cup.
Mm.
Well, we weren't good enough at the time, but we probably would be good enough now. We'd have
That's
thrashed-
how it works.
if we had Brighton now, we'd have thrashed them. We would have. Thrashed them. Then Chelsea, how do they get on?
Painful to watch. It was a really poor performance, but we got
Saw
the
a lot
win.
of goals though.
Goals should have scored early. It should have been done. Like, I don't know why we had to play more than 100 minutes and we're playing PSG next. We used too much of our players that we shouldn't have used. The game should have died early. So, painful to watch once again.
Just
yeah.
briefly before we move on, if we touch it while we're touching on that game, the whole thing about the sending off. What did you think about the Wrexham sending off?
I think it was well deserved. Yeah, I think it was well deserved. That guy had his studs up. He could have easily hurt Garnacho. It would have easily been a really bad injury for
Yeah.
Garnacho. So yeah, I'm glad he's not injured. Well, I'm not too glad because it's Garnacho, but yeah, I'm glad he's not injured.
Yeah, well, I was
we
gonna say
need to
most
win,
people
yeah.
should be happy he's not. Other than obviously some United fans.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy he's not injured. I'll
Yeah,
just say I'll put that out there.
I think it was a pretty rough tackle, but someone else has other thoughts.
I just don't think it's fair to hold EFL players to VAR standards when it comes to fouls. You see that same tackle all the time in the EFL across a game weekend. So for them have to adjust to being scrutinised by VAR, and we'll come on to VAR later, but I don't think it's fair, and I think it gives Chelsea an added advantage that they already have. Same with Port Vale and Sunderland. And you saw it a few years ago in the semi-final, Coventry, Man United. Haji Wright was a sliver offside, and he got ruled out. Maybe if he was used to VAR, he would have been a tiny bit more behind, and if VAR wasn't there, Coventry City would have been in the final.
Probably weren't.
Yep, cheers.
Andrew?
I don't know what he's on about, to be honest. I think that's a blatant red card.
Yeah, well, I was with the Hebben lads who went out for a meal after the game, and most of them, the defenders, thought it was a sending off. They were all pretty much agreed that the card, it was a sending off, and the card should have been a red one.
Things look very different when you slow it down.
Ah,
In real
no.
time,
Come on.
I was
No.
like, that's a professional foul.
No, but look at the risk it had to the player. The risk it had to Garnacho. What if he got really badly injured? That's the point for such an offense.
Yeah, but you can get badly injured through an innocuous tackle. I don't think that
come on.
changes.
Come
Right,
on.
let's let
Let's-
sleeping dogs lie. Let's move on. So moving on to some managers who have been fighting in the media in recent memory, Arteta and Hurzeler of Brighton fame have been fighting recently, and that seems to be on set pieces. Andrew, any thought on that?
So what he said was in his post-match press conference after Arsenal won 1-0 at Brighton on Wednesday night, Fabian Hurzeler was complaining about, there's a list here of what he complained about. He said, only one team tried to play football. Arsenal make their own rules during matches. He would never tell his team to play like that. Arsenal keeper David Raya went down injured 3 times with no punishment. The league needs to find a way to punish it. Nobody apart from Arsenal fans enjoyed the game. Supporters deserve better. And in response, Mikel Arteta has said, what a surprise. You just need to go back to previous games and you'll find a lot of comments like this always. I love my players. That's the highlight. I love my players. We love our players, and I love the way we compete.
the end of the day, they're clearly not doing anything that's wrong in the referee's eyes because they're letting the game go and they're not stopping them and pulling them up on it. So obviously Arteta's not doing anything illegal in the game. So I kind of understand Arteta clapping back there.
It is all. They're staying within the sports. It's just general gamesmanship that you see. You know, I was at Shields the other week for their title clash against Fylde, and Mike Williamson, halfway through the second half, told Tom Watson to go down, the Shields keeper. He shouted at him, told him to go down, so they could have a little tactical break. But I think the thing with Arsenal is they've spent 2-3 seasons being runners up to City, and they've sort of leaned more, especially this season, into that sort of dominant, we're gonna just physically bully you and be not a nice team to play against aspect of it. And for years they've tried to play a bit nicer, not got across the line, so they've changed tack a bit.
Yeah.
And it's helping them so far. So I think obviously it's not as nice to watch, and the teams that have followed, it's sort of lent to a trend in the Premier League that isn't as pleasing on the eye. But I mean, I'm a low league fan, so for me it's like my bread and butter seeing that sort of stuff. I think there is some brilliant about seeing a goal from a corner, like they had the two the other weekend. It was just beautiful to see. I think they need a bit more credit for the way they are playing, because it's working for them, and Arteta's sort of realised he's not going to beat Pep playing nice, beautiful football. He's going to have to be a bit more bullish.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the way Arsenal play it's different. I'll give him that. It's not to everyone's cup of tea, but the way he's doing it, it's obviously getting results. And I think you've already started to see a bit of a shift towards it. Like the long throw-in stuff, it's like now is very prevalent in the Premier League, and it's slowly trickling down. Actually, I think that's the start of an endemic of Arsenal, like, you know, set piece performances coming into football and being a bit more prevalent around other teams. Whereas you saw it from Arsenal originally, and now teams are obviously picking up on it and maybe not still able to combat it, but they're getting better at it. It's interesting to see.
I think I think the coach said something of the lines, only Arsenal fans enjoyed that kind of performance. Well, and Kieran, of course,
And me.
and you. But I think that type of play, yeah, of course, Arsenal enjoy that performance. All they need is the win, which, yeah, like, as long as it's nothing illegal, it's fine. But looking at the fan base, it's not as fun to watch for like regular fans. For example, I'm looking at the previous like titles, let's say like the Man City and the Liverpool kind of rivalry that they had. I think that was way much fun to watch because it was just a high intense game. You never see like at any point like where Liverpool or City were like trying to like slow the game down. It was high intense, and even if you're not a City or a Liverpool player fan, I mean, you would enjoy that kind of match, and you look forward to watching those kind of games.
Yeah, because they're a bit more exciting, aren't they, than your typical Premier League affair.
But does a Arsenal fan, if I'm an Arsenal fan, I don't care if I'm excited at the team, so if I'm going to win the league. That's I think Arsenal players are going to be saying the same thing. We don't care what you think about our type of football. If we're going to win the league, we'll trade anything. And it's not as though they're technically inept. They've got players like Zubimendi, who's brilliant technically, Declan Rice, Saka. They've got some really good technical players. And I think they do go underrated in that aspect. Eze as well.
Brilliant.
They are quite an entertaining team to watch, just because it's not your standard Pep Guardiola playing it around the back, building up with these beautiful systems. It's still entertaining. It's just in a different way. Yeah, in a different way. I don't think Arsenal fans care if people find how they're playing entertaining or not. It's about winning for them.
Speaking with both hats on here, I wouldn't be, as long as we're getting results at the end of the day. Obviously, it means a bit more for Morecambe, but we'll talk about United for a sec. If United are getting better results, getting good results week on week, I'm not going to care how we do it, whether we shit house a 1-0 every week. I don't care. Just as long as we're getting those results on, getting the points on the board and staying at the top staying near and around the top, getting Champions League football, I wouldn't care. If I'm completely honest, I'd be quite happy.
And I think that shows how far Man United have fallen. Because it used to be all about the beautiful
Okay.
football Man United would play. I remember under, was it Moyes and Van Gaal? It was attack, attack,
This is
attack.
just personal from me. This is
That's how far they've
it's
gone.
how I look at it. If I'm honest, I'd rather see United get results and stay at the top of the table. Near the top of the table because we're obviously not top of the table at the minute. But yeah, I'd rather just tick on, keep getting results.
Andrew?
I think it's like Dennis. I think can probably attest it. It's like feels like Chelsea back in like under Mourinho, like when they're like kind of like they're in that period of the season where they just got to grind out results. Like they get their untidy like 1-0 wins, like kind of style. Like obviously Mourinho's known for like very defensive like style of play, so it feels a bit more like that. Obviously there's obviously a reliance on corners. So obviously that's how the game's going nowadays, but it does feel like it's like just the way they're grinding results. Like obviously City slipped up the other day against Nottingham Forest at home, whereas Arsenal are getting the results needed to just grind out results constantly and get this league title won.
But I think it was different though. The kind of system, like the Mourinho system, was a bit different. It was like we get one goal, 2 goals. Like try to defend as much as possible. He would like use tactics to like waste time, like not really as much. For example, like when Raya went down, there's some ways Raya went down, and it was like I remember, for example, with the Chelsea game, like João Pedro like barely touched him, and he was like flying all over, trying to like go down, waste some time. But well, they were both quite similar, but yeah, I think most people kind of forgot about that what Mourinho did as much, so it's not ringing as same as Arsenal. Yeah.
Fair play. Yeah, I kind of agree with that myself, if I'm honest, because I remember Chelsea back then under Mourinho. I tell you what, I don't think Chelsea have really hit much of the same heights now as they did under Mourinho. I think
Yeah, sure.
I do think you've lost a bit of your personality
True.
since then.
True,
It'd be
true,
nice
true.
to see Chelsea come back, but
Yeah.
you never know.
No.
Nah. They were always one of them who were quite good to watch.
Yeah, with Hazard, but
Nah,
not Mourinho.
different. Not Mourinho.
I mean, it was like Arsenal. It wasn't the most exciting football. It got the job done, but there is a place for that in football. But I do want teams like your Peps and your Alex Ferguson, Man United, your Wenger Arsenal's, that prime sort of Wenger ball. Not even when I think, because of my age, when I think of Wenger ball, I think of Giroud and Jack Wilshere combining
Yeah, like the
against
later
Norwich
years.
City. Not really the Vieira and Henri
Henry.
Bergkamp sort of era, but yeah, no, I think Chelsea can fight down there.
Well,
But
it wasn't that bad. It wasn't
they're,
that bad.
they're a small club anyway.
Ooh.
Kieran's a top rage beta.
Yeah,
He's a top rage
I was
beta.
going to say
A mid-table Premier
we'll
League,
briefly
really.
introduce Kieran because
Yeah,
I think
he's
that went
he's a
amiss.
rage
So
beta.
Kieran's on the same course as us, and he likes to rage bait
Yeah,
people.
he's
a bit,
a
doesn't
rage
he?
beta. I'm not gonna fall for that. I'm not
Chelsea
falling
are a
for that.
mid-table club. But like, there's
Ah,
nothing
no,
wrong
I'm
with
not
it. They've had
falling for
a
that.
bit of money from some dodgy sources, and all
What
of
do you
a
mean a
sudden-
mid-table club? Like we've had the most trophies in the 21st century. How are
Yeah, that's the 21st century. Football was played long before that.
Oh,
To be fair, you
He's close
to be fair, you
he's
face
close to
palm.
fight, I can see it.
You face palm. I actually kind of agree with that.
No, I agree, but I can see in his face. He's close to biting with this.
no. I'm not falling for that rage bait.
No, to be
Chelsea's
fair,
not-
to be fair though, historically, if you do think about it,
Who
Well,
are
also look-
Chelsea?
no, I'm not going that far. Has been a lot of football played before the 21st century. You might be one of the most influential team. Well, maybe not even then actually. You might have won the most trophies in the 21st century, but before then,
They're just the sort of 2000s Wrexham, really.
No, wait. We won a European
Won't
Cup
go that
in
far.
the in the 90s with Zola and Di Matteo. We won a European Cup.
So did Nottingham Forest.
Right, moving on.
Yeah,
We're moving.
yeah,
We're
let's move
moving
on,
on.
let's move
on.
Top
Let's
rage
move on.
bait from Kieran. Man. Stay tuned for more of that.
I would like to place on record I don't agree with all of my opinions.
Well, why'd you say him then?
To just get
Rage bait.
Just
He's
to
a
remind
rage
people.
bait. He's rage bait.
Oh, Kieran. So, moving on. Felipe Luis was sacked pretty weirdly by Flamengo after an 8-0 win against Madureira in the Carioca Cup. They sacked him, and then they've gone on to win it. So I don't know what do we think? What do we think about that? Should he have been sacked, especially after an 8-0 win? Your career should pretty be secure then. No,
I'll be honest, I'm not
Secure.
too clued up on the Carioca Cup,
I mean either.
which I think we should all state first for record.
Yeah, I don't watch
But-
Brazilian football personally, but
I watched the Copa Libertadores final back November time or something, when that was before Christmas, maybe December it was, and Flamengo looked like a good team. Felipe Luis, you could see that he was playing with a good system. He's got some decent players there, and it does seem like quite a weird decision to sack him. But
Mm.
again, Brazilian football is quite weird. You see it the other night with a huge brawl with Atletico Mineiro and was it Cruzeiro? So yeah, it is a strange decision, but I'm sure they had some form of reason. And I think he'll
yeah,
either have another club in Brazil or South America, maybe move to Argentina, or he'll come straight to Europe. And I do think he'll be in the top European league soon, maybe Italy first of all. And I think at some point in the next 15 years, 10 years, we'll see him in Premier League.
I was going to say, would anyone like to see him in the Premier League? And if so, who for? Do you want slot out finally, Andrew?
he is screaming
do
at
you-
Bournemouth.
do you wanna
At
get
the
him in
start,
for-
he is screaming
do
at
you wanna get him in
Bournemouth.
for
yeah,
slot?
he
Why
Start
not?
of next season.
He does scream at Bournemouth.
You reckon?
Yeah,
I think maybe even Fulham. I think
Fulham.
Fulham if Marco Silva leaves. I think
Well, you never know.
Mm.
You could see it. You could see it.
no,
Morecambe.
that'd be funny. That'd be really
You
funny,
know
but-
what? Well, I don't think Jim Bentley's getting toppled anytime soon. I think he'll stick on, but yeah, at United, it'd be interesting to see him at United.
Not yet. It's too
Mm.
early in his coaching career still. Way too early for a club like United.
Maybe after a few years,
Saying that though,
build himself up in the Premier League.
Carrick is a
Yeah, but
he's done
Carrick's
well.
played at United. He knows exactly the.
Yeah, Carrick knows the
it-
United way.
I hate.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hate
but-
saying that, but he knows what
No,
he's
he
walking
he
into,
does.
and he's had. He's coaching roles at Middlesbrough in the English league, which I mean, it
But
did all right. Didn't
Yeah.
pull up any trees.
it's a bit of a
But if
different-
you know the tea lady at Man United, you can get the job, can't you?
Seems like it, to be fair. They did interview Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which would have been horrendous, but we're not talking about United here. We're talking about Felipe Luis. I think the sacking... I think the sacking is nonsense.
Yeah.
You win 8-0, you shouldn't be getting sacked, surely. No matter what's going on.
But for teams like Flamengo, their whole thing is the sort of Copa Libertadores. They don't, domestically, they're so used to winning domestically that they need to win these continental games. So, it's same for Boca, River, Corinthians. Well, they're still on the up, but Sao Paulo, all these sort of big South American clubs you think of, their main goal is the Libertadores. They don't
I'm not
really
going to
care.
try and pronounce that. I don't know where to begin. No, to be fair, it's like Boca have been the kings of South American football for quite a while.
I think
I'd
they're
say.
the kings in Europe based on the Bombonera and their brand, but I don't
One of
think.
the most popular. But
Yeah,
I
but
think,
they're not the kings in terms of footballing ability.
I think they used to be. I don't think nowadays it's.
They've
very
had
similar.
their times, but they're not. They're one of the grandes in Argentina, but they're not
Mm.
any bigger than. Realistically, they're not any bigger than River or
Ooh.
any of it. They're on the same page. They're on the
Mm.
same. It's like I don't know, United and Liverpool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there's any River fans watching,
If we've made
Which
it
I-
to Argentina.
which I highly doubt.
If we are, then we have made it.
Well, he's in trouble.
He's in trouble.
One, he's in trouble, and two, we've made
No,
it.
I'm
If
just
we reach
saying they're
further
two
fans.
huge clubs, but I don't know who's bigger.
Yeah,
Ye-
that's not. I
that's
really
not-
want to go.
River
into
fans,
it,
Boca
it's-
fans, you're both welcome here. Don't worry.
I do like Boca. Well, I'll just put that out there.
Yeah, I like Boca as well. A dream to visit La Bombonera, but I
Mm.
haven't got to hand how many titles they've won.
Speaking about popular grounds and ground hopping to Argentina, there has been a bit of controversy at the minute with a popular app which I'm on and use quite heavily, and I know you'll probably bring me into this debate. Footballogy. So for anyone who doesn't know, Footballogy is we're not sponsored, by the way. There are other apps out there. We are a good app though. Footballogy is an app for ground hoppers, for people who want to go and watch football and want to tick grounds off. You go to a game, comes up on your phone, you click check in, you check into the game, you keep track of games you've been to, grounds you've been to, and a lot of people use it to go and tick off grounds. And that's where the controversy comes in. Kieran?
I think people have taken it too far. There's a difference between, I'm all for completing the 92. I don't agree with how some people say you've got to do it with the club you support. I think that's
Yeah, I think that's...
yeah, because if you, I don't
I
know.
think if anything, it's impossible. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah. For some people,
Impossible,
even
yeah.
if you're a Man United fan, when you get into Bromley away with United,
You have
it
to wait
doesn't
for
really
the
make
FA Cup.
sense.
FA Cup.
But
or
then-
You've got to be
Carabao.
lucky.
But when they're not going to probably make it to the third round.
Yeah, you've got to
Sometimes,
be very
sometimes.
lucky.
I think we did this year, so... be careful.
With Andy Woodman, they're flying, aren't they? But I think people have just taken it too far, and you saw they reply to the app itself replied to someone saying that his grounds requested to add were a public open space and a 7-a-side pitch.
I
And
think
these just
that's
aren't
too
football.
far.
These just aren't
It's
football
too far.
pitches. And it was if I'm right, it was created by a couple of Scandinavian or German supporters who just wanted to track what grounds they'd been to and what matches they had. And I've used it for a few years now, just to be able to see what games I've been to and the statistics, how many games I've got to go to in a certain season. Because it is nice to collect all that information. But I just think it's a bit weird when people are making it their whole sort of thing. They're like
Chasing numbers in a way.
chasing numbers. Like football's not about how many
Games
grounds
gone.
you've been to.
God. No.
I do agree with it. There is a social side to all this ground hopping. I think that is really good. People get out of the house, they go meet up with people, they meet new people, they see old friends, and they're at these lower league clubs a lot of the time, putting quite a bit of money into them, and having a social time. And I think that is something that should be respected. But I think there's a maybe who are we to judge how other people spend their time? But football's more about the following your own team and
Yeah.
not really caring about. I'm not going to go to this ground because I've already been there. Just being like, there's a bit of football on, I'll go.
Yeah, I'm not like that. If there's a ground that I've already been to and they're playing and there's not much else around, I will go. I'm not one of them who goes, oh, I've been there already, I won't go. Like I do enjoy like doing multiple visits to these clubs because you do see things on multiple visits that you don't see at other times. It's like working at Hebburn this year. I went to Hebburn once last season and experienced a ground. Obviously, I've got the pleasure of working there this season, but I've seen so much more about ground and appreciate it on a whole new level after multiple visits and looking around it, like how good the Trustmark group stadium actually is, and how much effort has been put and money has been spent.
And you get a certain game can make or break your experience at any football stadium. If you go to, I don't know, top of my head, Macclesfield away, and they've got that open terrace. If you're there, the only time I've been, it was a Tuesday night in October. It was raining all game. We won 5-0, but I couldn't see the other end of other end of the pitch where we scored basically all of our goals. But if you go on a sunny May day at the end of the season, especially now we're in non-league and you can have a drink on the terrace, that would be a lot better footballing experience, and you would have a much better time than when you go and it's chucking it down midweek and it's freezing.
It's good, like going back to your point you made about like ground hopping, the social side of it. It's like the ground top weekend I was on last weekend. You see so many people who you've got to know, either through like Twitter and stuff, and you get to see them. It's the only real time you get to see them and catch up with them and speak to them, like in person rather than online. So there's multiple people who I bumped into and spoke to and spent like a couple of days with, who I've not seen for like a year because they only do like the groundhop weekends and they live down south, so I don't get to see them much because I'm up north. And it's interesting to catch up with them. Like one of my groundhopping friends is a Wickham fan, and I rarely see him. And I spent most of one of the games with him to just catching up and talking to him about Wickham and Morecambe and groundhopping. It's just a really, really fun social thing. So to be honest, I'm quite a big fan of the groundhop. Big fan of groundhop, and especially like groundhop events and groundhop days and stuff. But I do think there is a point to be made about people going to like school pitches and seven-a-side pitches and leisure centres. I think I made the point this morning that like there's a club called Lower Breck. They play in a sports centre. I think that's okay because they're an established team. They're in a professional league. I think they're in Northern Prem Div 1. That's fine. You know, all adults there. And I just think some grounds.
I think if you've got to
It's a bit
pay to get in, you're good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
that's true.
Mm.
Or
Turnstile programs there.
Yeah.
Food on sale. I think that's
not
fair.
even programs. That's a whole
Yeah,
nother
true,
conversation.
true,
But programs
true.
are not every
Yeah,
club in
Shrimps don't do
VFL have a
programmes anymore.
program now.
So, moving on from a groundhopping debate and moving on to a strange story about VAR. Someone has quite literally pulled the plug on VAR. So, over to Andrew for that one.
Prussian Munster fans, I'm sorry
Easy
if
for you to
anyone's
say.
offended by this because I can't lie, my German is not refined at the minute. Fans displayed this banner after a masked fan unplugged the VAR monitor during their Bundesliga 2 game against Hertha Berlin. The referee went to the screen to check a potential penalty but found the screen to be blank.
I think this just
brilliant.
reinforces how good German football is
I
and
love
how
German
how
football.
clear they are.
Love
of
German
the-
football, it's
Not
good.
the rest of the world, but the rest of Europe, especially the big countries. Your Spain's, your Italy's, especially England. I'm so jealous of the way they have it. But yeah, I am firmly in the abolitionist VAR camp. I think it should be scrapped. I think it was brought in to supposedly make football
More fair.
more
think it
fair
was.
and get rid of all the wrong decisions, and it just
It's
hasn't.
made it worse, hasn't it? It's doubled
I
down.
wouldn't
to
say
be
it's
honest.
made it worse, but it just hasn't got rid of all the wrong decisions. There's still contentious decisions week in, week out, and lots of football subjective. So you're never going to get rid of that. And then I think it's just ruining fan experience. You can't properly celebrate. I've never been in a ground when a goal's been ruled out by VAR, but
Mm.
it's lots of Premier League fans tell me they no longer celebrate goals properly that they used to be able to.
Yeah, because you just got that long wait, haven't you? It just takes all the sting out of it. You've just, player scores a goal, and then you're just like, oh, is it going to get ruled out? Is it going to... You can't really celebrate, because if you do celebrate, and they rule it out, you look like a twat. And then, but if you do celebrate, and it doesn't get ruled out, then, well, if you don't celebrate, then you celebrate after it's been cleared. Moment's gone, hasn't it, really? I don't know. Because I know you'll definitely have something to say on this, Andrew.
I've had too
Especially-
many things with this.
Especially because Liverpool have had so many things against them.
Yeah, I think from your point before with the whole it does like how you're saying that the decision's getting worse. I don't think the decision's getting worse. I think it's more the impact on them, like because people are checking this over and over and they're still getting it wrong. I think that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Howard Webb is just incapable of doing his job.
Yeah, but with my experience with VAR, I've had too many. I've had a penalty that I thought was given against Real Madrid at home earlier this season, then turned out. Then we thought, oh, it might be given as a free kick outside the box. Nope, it just wasn't given at all.
There was a massive one last season, if I remember rightly, for Liverpool.
It was,
that
it, was-
Yeah,
it
yeah.
would have been
PGMOL had to...
It was Diaz at Tottenham
Go-
2 seasons ago.
That
Oh,
was it.
yeah.
I
He scored a goal
remember
and
that.
then.
That to be fair, that
I'm
game,
sorry,
Yeah.
but
that
that
game
was-
in general was just a complete mess. I
even
think,
as a United fan, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was disgusting.
because there was
Yeah.
there was
How
the,
that went.
that whole game was a mess. There was the Diaz goal. There was Curtis Jones sent off, which you would have said, by the way, would have been should be a yellow
was
card because it's the
was it
same challenge.
Wrexham-esque?
Same challenge. There was Jota's red card for when the first yellow card, he didn't even touch Destiny Udogie. The second yellow was definitely a yellow, but he shouldn't have even been on a yellow in the first place. So that whole game was a mess.
The referee just lost lots of players, hasn't he?
And even with the Real Madrid one I've just mentioned, it was handball, and it was outside the box, but it should have been given as a free kick outside the box, and weirdly, because he gave the penalty on field, and he overturned it and just gave a drop ball to Real Madrid, and everyone was really confused around us. We've had like multiple checks. It's mainly for penalties. The ones I've been at. Obviously, we had the one the other week with Forest with hitting McAllister's back or arm, and it got given as handball. And then the second one where Ole Einar stood behind Van Dijk so no one can see it, and everyone thought it was miles offside, and he wasn't.
I think a lot of referees get into maybe a bit too reliant on VAR. Maybe it's a bit of lazy decision making.
I don't think it's lazy. I think it's just in a human instinct. If you've got someone to double check everything you're doing, you're not going to be as
vigilant with
as
it.
vigilant or as decisive as you might have been.
But I think my issue with VAR is the mistakes. Like when I'm watching football, I want the correct decisions to be made: offside, penalty, goals, tackles, red cards, etc. I want the right decisions to be made. Well, VAR was brought in to make sure like these decisions are scrutinized, right? I think it has achieved its goal, but not too effectively because of the mistakes. For me, like for example, when Man United got a penalty recently, the Cunha, I think they were playing against Palace. I think Cunha was brought down.
The Palace home game.
Yeah, that was. I don't know how
I
that
can't
goal
comment on that,
passed.
unfortunately, because I was at the ground-up weekend, so I didn't manage to watch it.
But honestly, I don't know how that goes past VAR as a penalty. That was, from all the angles you can see, that's not a
He
penalty.
barely touched them.
Yeah,
I think
he
it's
barely
probably
touched
just
him.
for people who are actually on VAR. Maybe we need some more experience.
No, but surely
people on.
we've had VAR for how many seasons?
Too many now.
Yeah,
How
like
long have we
you'd
had it for
expect
now?
these decisions.
7, I think. 7 seasons.
7 seasons.
This season
it
included.
feels like it's been there for a while. If I'm
I
completely
think
honest. I thought it was longer actually. I thought it was around 10.
I think it's 7 this season in the league, and then we've had it obviously 8, including the World Cup and the
It was
Champions League the year
18 World
before.
Cup.
You'd expect these things to have got, like maybe the first season, second season with VAR, these problems, and yeah, it's okay, it's the first time, but you don't expect it like in the 7th, 8th season still having the same issues on
It's like, look at
decisions
last
and
season.
VAR.
We could probably pull up a list now of like PGMOL apologies, like
Yeah.
as long as my arm. It's awful, really. How even now it should be homed and refined, but it hasn't been.
Well, that's it. I think I've seen a list, not a list, sorry, article start of the season, like earlier in the season, like November time, and it said I think it was this could be wrong, but I think it's there's been more VAR apologies in the past 2 seasons than it was like that
Since it's been in.
since it's been in. I think or something. It's something like that.
I think
either
as a football fan, managers make mistakes, players make mistakes. I'm happy for referees to make mistakes in games. As someone who supports a club that doesn't have VAR involved, that's just part of life. Stuff happens. Sometimes it's not fair. You just got to put up with it. I think Premier League fans, you might have a few decisions go against you, but it's just part of supporting a football team, and it's just a bigger part of life. Sometimes things do go against you, and there's the classic saying, isn't there, about if you have a few bad mistakes, your luck will turn and you'll get a few in your favour. So I would personally, if it was up to me, I'd just go back to the old way, just refereeing.
What is the alternative?
Referees,
just normal referees final say,
or the challengers idea, where you have a team will have, they do it in
like baller league,
like in tennis, in basketball, lots of American sports, a challenge system where you've got.
That's what I think of when you say challenge system, because we do it in baller league. It's like the managers have
But then there's
a thing we throw
logistical
in, making
problems
challenge it.
with actually implementing that with who gets to decide. Is it just the manager? Then if it's the manager, how long do they have to challenge that? When do you stop play? Because if it's captains of somebody, I was reading something where somebody wanted captains of managers. If you're if you're Virgil van Dijk, captain of Liverpool, you think there's a handball, and you're trying to say to a referee, I want to challenge that, but you're trying to run back and stop the
Yeah, no,
counter
you
attack.
should-
There's too many things
There's
going
no
on.
way. It should be.
It's
It
not-
should be the manager.
Yeah,
it should
football's
be the
not-
manager. It
Football's not
makes more
tennis. It's not.
sense.
It's
Yeah.
a more fluid game. But then with the manager, how do you, if you're a player, how do you
You
communicate that you
Oh,
want to
yeah,
challenge
yeah,
it, and then
yeah,
it brings
yeah.
loads
Surely
of.
the manager should be watching though, and they should know.
Yeah, but
they should
managers have
really
one
know
view.
when to challenge.
Yeah, but
and-
managers have one view. Players have, if
Well,
if it's on the other side of the pitch, the manager might not be able to see something.
True, but surely the manager can see a player if they're trying to contest it, like waving to him and saying.
Yeah,
like,
but then you
"Something
get
here."
into a whole
then
debate
they'll throw
around
it in.
whether the manager's going to trust that player, and it brings a whole new.
The manager should trust. If you're a manager, you should trust your
Trust
players.
players, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think that's silly. I think
But
you should.
then yeah, players might not like that. They might want a bit more control.
Back to VAR. I do.
I have
Oh,
also
have you
got
got
the article up for what I saw. It turns out it was VAR errors have gone up from this season to last season by 3. This is from the first half of the season.
It's
so the
gone
first
up from last season.
So
So I remember it being
so-
particularly bad last season.
So last season there was after 19 games there was 57 VAR overturns and there was 10 errors. There was
My word.
7
10
missed
errors.
seven missed interventions and then 3 incorrect interventions. This season there has been 47
47 what?
47 VAR
Checks
VAR
or
overturns
overturns.
in
As
the
in
league in the
checks.
first 19 games. 11 missed interventions and 2 incorrect interventions, and they have listed all 13 errors in here as well. I'll quickly read them through. It'll take a minute.
Okay.
So we've got Senesi's red card against Liverpool first game of the season when he handballed it on the floor
I remember that.
and stopped. I believe it was Ekitike going through on goal. Josh King's disallowed goal at Chelsea. Hugo Bueno being denied a penalty against Everton. I haven't seen that one, but
No, don't ring a bell.
this one will be known. Nathan Collins avoiding a red card against Man United for the penalty
Yeah,
when he pulled
should have
back
been a red.
Brighton when he was through on goal.
Should have been a red.
Gusto's high boot against Brighton.
Mm.
Senesi's second red card avoidance of the season against Palace. So how you managed to avoid 2 red cards from VAR in the space of 2 months is quite impressive,
Lucky
actually.
boy. Lucky man.
Dan Burn trips up Wataratara against Brentford.
I remember that.
Yeah.
He should have been gone for that.
Yeah, when
I remember that one.
yeah,
That was shocking.
well, I think it was gone anyway, like 5 minutes later because it was 2 penalties given that game.
Mhm.
Kilman swiped at the ball against Bournemouth. Don't remember that one. Foden caught late in the box by Fabian Shaw against Newcastle. Agbadou's handball against Man United.
Yeah, that was
Mm.
blatant. I remember that one.
Saliba
wrong.
kicking Tieno Barry against Everton.
Yeah,
and Arsenal
Yeah, I
won 1-0.
remember that
that
as
one.
well.
Gusto avoids another spot kick against Bournemouth. And Romero escaping a red card against Brentford on New Year's Day.
To be fair though, there's been a bit of a gap between the errors. Well, the last error and then probably the next error. It's been a bit of a gap.
I
What,
think there's
start of
definitely a
March
gap.
now?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, they haven't updated it.
there was a gap
Probably,
between.
probably bigger numbers then.
It's probably due
I'll
to
have a
the
look.
international base, but it's mainly most of the errors have come before the start of the start of November.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. You know, around the start of the season, could you say it might be refs being a little bit rusty with new directives?
Could be.
Like a little settling in period.
But the thing is,
I'm not
most
defending refs because I hate refs, if I'm honest. I hate them. They get things wrong so much. I've seen
Yeah, but so
many
did
crap
Ruben
refs.
Amorim, and so did how many times?
Amorim does.
How many?
Rage
How
baiting
so
again.
did no?
Rage
But I'm
baiting
being honest. I think we give refs too much stick.
Refs,
They're
refs
human
can impact
beings.
the game much more than even more than a manager can. Managers. was going to say managers can't send players off, but we can take them off. But the referee has final say, really. The referee can really, really impact a game and ruin it.
Yeah,
And
but also
we've
the
seen
referee
that
can make a
multiple times.
mistake. But I think when referees make mistakes, we react as football fans like it's the worst thing in the world and they're, the worst person in the
But
world.
not infallible.
It's just
I
a
get that.
person. It's just a
Actually,
person
being a
making a
referee, it's not easy. Like,
Yeah.
especially with the pace of the game, it needs like pure attention, like maximum attention. To
What
detail.
happens when a referee makes a mistake is somebody makes a mistake at work. That's all that happens, and then we go on about it like it's the worst thing in the world.
Exactly.
And it is
Yeah.
annoying, and sometimes it does come back to bite us, and it can ruin our weekends. But at the end of the day, in a few weeks, you'll get a decision go your way.
No, but-
seen some
And if you're
awful
Manchester
ones, so-
United, you're probably getting the decisions going your way anyway.
Okay.
If I
Well,
speak,
Morecambe
I'm in big
certainly
trouble.
aren't, because I remember Gateshead, the Gateshead away game recently, and then the game after against York. We've had some criminal refereeing at National League level, and this season,
Yeah, but the
being in
referees
the
at National
Northern
League
Prem-
the referees at National League level aren't professional in a professional league. So I don't think that's fair on referees to have to be refereeing
Well, why are they
professionals when
why
they're
are they
not
refereeing that
professionals.
game then? If they're not to
Because it's
standard,
a-
why are they refereeing it?
That's not their fault. That's down to that's down to the
They shouldn't be
authorities in the
refereeing it
league.
then. So the league needs to sort it out then.
Yeah, but it's not the referee's fault. They're refereeing professionals when they're not professionals. That's down to that's
They shouldn't be there.
that's an organisational problem,
And
not
anyway,
a refereeing problem.
you're assuming that they're not professional refs.
No, they're not professional refs in the National League.
They'll have experience. Oh, we'll have experience.
Yeah,
in
but
and
there's a
around
difference
that
between-
system.
There's a difference between being a professional ref and being a not
Well, I know
like
that.
a semi-professional ref. But professional refs will have the whole week to analyse, get fit, prepare for the game coming, whereas a
No,
semi-professional
but
ref's got
these
work
refs
on
in the
Monday.
National League system, they should have been in and around that system. It's like there's a guy I know, one of my friends, called James Atkinson. He works in the National League system. He's been lining in refereeing some games. I think like National League North around and even lower. He's been in and around that area, and he's got experience. He's had experience in those games. So surely, as a referee, someone who's been taught and gone through.
Yeah, but it's not the
Go
same
through
as
the
being a
process to
professional where
being
you've
a
got all
referee.
week to dedicate to
I'm not
that
holding.
one.
I'm not holding these refs to the same standard because I understand that they're not, professional referees. They're not in like league. They're not from League 2 upwards to the Premier League. I know they're not going to have the same standards as say Howard Ware, but I know he's not an active Premier League ref. Or Michael Oliver or awful Andy Madley.
But
I'm
there
not
is
holding
a
them to
very.
that
I think there is
degree.
the standard of refereeing doesn't match the standard of playing at a lot of our levels in the English pyramid. But that's more of an organisational issue than a refereeing personnel issue. We need
But these
to.
referees, they should
they-
know what they're doing because
Yeah, but
they should be experienced in that league and like I'm saying about National League refs.
Yeah, but it's like
They
putting
should
you
be
in an
experienced
F1
in
car
the
and saying
National
you've
That's
driven a car.
completely different. I've had no experience of that. I've had no experience of that. These referees in the National League system have had experience of National League North and
Yeah, but
South.
what we're talking
and,
about is an
North
organisational
National League
issue where
games.
the refereeing doesn't match the playing, and you need to fix that from a wider perspective.
I don't know why
rather
you're
than
blaming it on the
zooming in.
leagues because, like I'm saying, they have the experience, so they should know what they're doing. These referees should know. They understand the game. They've watched
Yeah,
the
but
game.
just because you've
They
got
should understand
experience
it.
still means you can make mistakes.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but what I'm trying to say is when referees make multiple mistakes in a game, which I've seen this season already at National League level.
I've seen.
I understand one mistake, but when you're making 2 and 3 and big errors that affect games in really big ways, I don't think it's good enough.
It's not good enough, but the way to improve that is to improve the standard of refereeing across English football down the pyramid, and that comes from
Well, how do you think you
the
do that?
organisations. It's about getting more people into refereeing early, providing better benefits for referees, and making referees in the National League full time. Because if the players are full time, the referees should be full time.
I think that'd probably be a good way around it, but I don't know. I don't see that happening if I'm completely honest, because I know there's a bit of a shortage of referees because not many people want to be refs.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
obviously
who wants
we
their
get a lot
job to
of
be
abuse.
abused by 40,000 people every
Yeah,
weekend?
which is pretty true.
And no
I
matter
wouldn't
what
wanna
you
be a
do,
ref.
you're going to be wrong in someone's
Mm.
eyes.
I know we sit here talking about referees and slagging them off a bit, but I do understand that it's obviously a hard job, isn't it?
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to do it. So moving on from that
Enough of referees.
moving on from that debate about referees to something probably might cause a bit more contention. I know, Kieran, you've been advocating for the Old Firm derby being the best in Britain.
Yeah, the Old Firm derby, the Glasgow derby. I think definitely not from a footballing perspective in terms of the level and quality of football you're going to see on display. But from an entertainment and a passion and pure hatred, which often, as we saw yesterday, spills over into things that I don't really agree with. I think it is by far and away the best in Britain. I think all the components that feed into it just throw any other derby out of the water. I don't think there's another single rivalry in the country that has all these elements that combine to make such a fierce derby.
Does anyone have any comeback for that? Anyone have any alternatives?
Yeah,
might be
I
a
think
bit
that's
better.
going to be me, I think.
Andrew?
Yeah, I don't agree purely for the fact is they play each other too much. That's my personal. I think they play each other way too much, and that's not really a fault on the two clubs or the fan base. I think that's more a fault on Scottish football as a whole, as like a thing where they play each other that many times this season. Like what? How many times they play each other this season? 5. It's going to be 6 in by end of the season.
Because we've got what? League, Scottish FA Cup.
Just for
Scot-
Scottish Cup.
Scottish Cup and the Scottish League Cup.
I thought it was Scottish FA Cup. Apologies.
Technically, it's still
Then-
called that, but it's
Yeah. What's the is it Premier Sports?
Just for league. Yeah, the League Cup.
it's Premier
League
Sports
Cup,
Cup, but
yeah.
it's the League Cup.
Pretty much the virtue
Mm.
trophy of Scottish football.
Well, no, it's
The
Carabao
Carabao.
Carabao
Carabao.
Cup, yeah. But yeah, I think because they've played each other 5 times already. Obviously, the last one was yesterday, and then the 6th time will be sometime either April or early May, 1 or 2. And I just think they just play each other too much. I think it dilutes it. Like playing each other that many times just dilutes a rivalry. Like we saw it when like Sunderland played Newcastle. Obviously, when that finally happened after a decade of Sunderland being out of the top flight and Newcastle obviously missing that 1 year out. Like you could see there was an intensity before the game. There was hype before the game. Everyone was dying to watch. Obviously, the game itself wasn't the
No.
best. I think we can all admit that, but the fact there was that much hype before the game shows how big of a derby it is and how much over diluted, because obviously not everyone cares as much about Celtic and Rangers. That, like, say go back to 2016 when Rangers came back up, everyone was hyped for it because obviously Rangers had been out of the league for about 5 years. We hadn't seen we'd seen a couple of Old Firms, but mainly in cup games, with Celtic obviously being the much better team because obviously Rangers are stuck with a
Going through a
championship
bit,
level team,
yeah.
whereas Celtic have got like the best team in Scotland. It's like now it's just played that often. I think we've had about 30 in the past 5 years alone, and that's because literally they play each other in every single competition. It just over dilutes it completely.
I think it's a fair argument, but I think it completely disregards for every single one of these games. Pretty much in the last sort of 20 years has been essentially title deciders. If you lose every Old Firm in the league, you're going to lose the league. Like, you're not going to win that. You're not going to win the Scottish title if you can't beat your biggest rivals. And I think that adds to it. It's basically... So apart from this season, obviously, with Hearts, but it becomes such an important fixture in terms of what trophies you're going to win. Because Celtic have now beaten Rangers in the Scottish Cup. They're odds-on favourite. They're 100% favourites to win that competition because of the experience they have in and how used to they are to going to Hampden and winning cups. And I think when you say, like, it was brilliant to see Sunderland and Newcastle finally play after nearly a decade, or what it was, but then you don't want a derby like that gone for that many years. It's not good for anyone.
Yeah, but you also say about how whoever loses the Old Firm pretty much loses the league. But the past few years, that's not really been the case. Like last
But
season,
it
last season it was, and the season before, I don't think it was either.
I'd say it's normally the case.
but
no,
it
it's
means a
normally a
lot more.
it
two-horse
means a
race,
lot
isn't
more,
it?
obviously, but it's like the last few years.
Obviously, you can still
The loser of the derby has usually gone on to win the league.
But you can lose the derby and go on to win the league, but you're a lot more likely to win the league if you win those games.
I see your point, but it's more like it. I just think it's just overplayed. That's because usually by the fourth one, the league's already won by that point. I think the last few years, I think every time it's been played, even the third one, usually, obviously this year is different because obviously
Then it adds
they've both been terrible.
it adds something into it. Beating, if let's say when Steven Gerrard won the league with Rangers, if Celtic went there, I can't remember the derbies from that season, but if Celtic go there and when they're doing terribly, or when they're perceived to be having a bad season, they can then beat the league champions in their own back garden or beat them at home. It gives it gives you huge bragging rights.
It gives you bragging rights, but I think it's more like the fact like if you're playing each other that many times, you don't get the bragging rights for that long.
And I think when you've got
it's a case of-
all these things that roll into that derby, the political, the religious, the historic, the national identity, that is all combines to make the Old Firm what it is. It just blows every other derby out the water. No derby on this island competes with that in terms of the
To be
difference
honest,
in what it is.
I do think that Tyne and Weir derby would give it a bit of a run for its money.
I
If
think
I'm
that
completely
and
honest.
I think that and West Ham Millwall are the two. Obviously, West Ham Millwall we haven't seen in. Well, I've not seen since I think last time happened I was 9.
But
I think was the last time.
with West Ham Millwall, don't you think that derby's a little bit more of what goes on off the field rather than what actually goes on the field? Because it's more of when you think of West Ham Millwall, what do you think of first?
Green Street.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly. You think of what goes on outside the ground and not on the pitch.
And at the time where derby, obviously, it's a brilliant derby, and it's two cities that for a long time haven't competed at the top level in terms of winning trophies. They just haven't.
So what makes a derby like a big derby?
Well, it's
Most-
like Barcelona and Real Madrid, where it's got the the political element, the political and historic element of that, and both teams are the biggest teams in the country. Boca River is similar.
Yeah, Boca River's a good one.
It's these huge derbies that have such big the teams have such big presences in their country, whereby they are the two teams, and maybe that's not a good thing for the wider footballing community in that country, but for a derby it makes it brilliant. And I think I don't think what happens off the field should really matter too much to how big a derby is perceived, because I think lots
I
of
agree.
the violence and that sort of stuff needs to be taken out. Like if you're going to football and punching people, what
What
you're
you
doing
doing
with your
there?
life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, go-
as we
if it
saw
goes to a
yesterday,
boxing
it
gym.
spilled over too much in the Old Firm yesterday, especially after the game. But just there is a way of, and lots of fans will be doing this, where Celtic and Rangers are so close to their identity of who they are and how they perceive themselves as a human, and when you're in that mass of people, you've got the other side there and you can see them, and it's so obvious when you've got the green and the blue. I think it is a brilliant and a cathartic way for people to identify themselves and have that rivalry that has, if you think of it as the British Irish, that has spilled over into wars and rebellions and all these sort of things. And to have that in a football game, if that was to be competed at just a purely competitive and in the stands a good-natured way in an ideal world, it would be an absolutely amazing thing, not just for football but for wider society. And I think that's why it doesn't always happen. It rarely happens that would, it's competed in that manner. But if that is how it was to be played, then I think it would blow every other derby out of water, and I think it does.
I think there might be a conversation to have though. I know this year it's been a bit different because one of the sides is very, very obviously struggling and one's obviously high flying. The North London derby.
I knew
The North. I think there's an argument to be made for the North London derby. I genuinely think that Arsenal Tottenham is it's a good watch normally. Even this year, to be fair, with Tottenham being as bad as they are and Arsenal being as good as they are,
It was just Tottenham getting hammered. It was like seeing
Yeah,
somebody's.
it was.
I still think it was too.
It was like somebody seeing
some
somebody's
too
old
different
man
games.
get beaten up. It was not nice.
Ooh.
You look in the
Well,
stands. It
Not
was
a
just
very
kids
nice
crying.
analogy,
I didn't.
Kieran.
It's not.
It's true though.
I think
I know
I
that's just
don't
this
really
year, but
understand the. I'm not a huge fan of North. I do think it's a good game, but in my lifetime, I can think of off the top of my head a couple seasons where Tottenham have been better. You know, for most of my life,
Arsenal
most
be
people's
his
life,
life.
really, if you're alive, Arsenal have been way better than Tottenham.
Yeah.
Spurs maybe in the 80s or whatever when Lineker and Co were there, but I just don't see it. And Arsenal weren't ever, you know, they sing North London forever. They weren't. They were in Woolwich. I
No.
just don't. I just don't. I don't get it with the North London derby. It is a good game of football against two good teams, but I'm not so sure about it as up there in the biggest rivalries.
I'd have to put it up there. Historically, it's
United-
gotta be up there. United Liverpool.
United Liverpool's way better.
Is
It
there
is, but
is there an argument
still
though
be
that
there.
like the level of English derbies dropped in recent years?
Yeah,
Is there
Yeah.
an argument for that?
I think lots of the
Mm.
teams.
Yeah.
I think some of it's sort of a drip down from lots of your classic rivalries not being as one team's a lot
One-
better. So Liverpool, when United were really good, Liverpool were useless, and now
useless, yeah.
Liverpool
And
have
that's
got
the other
good.
way around.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. So you can almost
Not
kind of
this
predict
season.
it. It hasn't
It won't be
completely
this
worked.
season.
United City's a bit similar. When United were in
Mm.
their heyday, there was a few seasons
You
where
s-
they're
you
competing
say
under
that,
the latter end of
You
Fergie.
say that. I remember the 2-1 win at Old Trafford. I think Bruno and Rashford scored. And that was when City were really high flying. I think we'd just come off. I don't know whether it was
That was-
season that they
That was the treble winner.
came
That
off
was
the back
treble
of a
winner, yeah.
treble,
That was the
or they
treble
went on
season.
to win the treble.
That was the treble.
But I think
season.
it's a wider
Yeah,
thing
but
of
we
like
still beat them.
football fans in the stadium and working class
Mm.
fans being priced out for
Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
completely
tourists,
agree.
and
It's
that's
like,
diluting
I don't know if I
derbies.
said it last week. It's like I don't go and watch United anymore just because of how much your tickets are. Like being a student and stuff, I can't afford 60, 70
Yeah,
quid.
that's a
time.
conversation for another week, but
Mm.
I think that will have an effect on derbies because
Yeah.
you'd
Yeah.
see
Yeah, a lot of tourists.
a lot, especially with a big name, you know, a City United. I think even a good derby in recent, like it's not derby, but City Arsenal, City Liverpool before that.
Mm.
Not derbies, but rivalries because
Rivalries,
yeah,
they're
big-
some
big
of the
games,
biggest.
the big games, yeah.
biggest
title
clubs-
deciders, pretty much.
Yeah, because they're some of the biggest
rather
clubs
than
in the
rivalries
country,
and derbies.
and they've always been great games because of how much is on the line.
Like this year, Arsenal and City have still got to play each other once more. I think.
In April.
Twice.
That'll be,
And
Is it
yeah,
twice?
Carabao Cup
Twice
final as
Carabao
well.
Cup final.
Ca-
and-
but mainly talking about the Premier League, fighting for the league.
Yeah.
They've still got to play each other, and that'll be quite big. That'll be a big game. Obviously not a derby, but like it'll be a good big for a title decider, big for a title race.
Mm.
So finally, moving on to an Andrew segment that he's decided to come up with: sense or nonsense. Andrew, over to you.
So this segment is going to be all it is. I'm going to read out a take, and we're all going to say whether it's sense or nonsense and explain ourselves.
Okay.
I have got plenty. I am not going to go through all of them today because we'll be here until about 5 o'clock this evening, I think. Right, we will start with. Yeah, we'll start with this one. Right, the Big Six shouldn't be a thing anymore.
Oh, why have you brought the Big Six into it?
as
You
in,
have brought in.
To elaborate, as a
Oh, you
concept,
brought in fire here because you know that we have conflicting takes on the Big Six.
we do.
Why have you done this? I think it's about time I explained.
Sense. How do Spurs sneak their way in?
Yeah.
Sense.
Like I was about to say, it's if they get relegated, it's going to be Big Five.
When they get relegated. No, I do think Spurs will turn it around, but I'm not so
Should Spurs
sure.
be in Big Six though.
I'm not
So we've
100%
had
sure
that
what have
conversation.
Spurs done to.
Yeah.
They've got a nice stadium with a long with a long bar, but
But what have they done to be there?
Nothing.
Spent money.
Yeah,
That's
about
what
it.
but not on wages, and that's why
No.
they're still down there.
I think they're
Exactly.
only in the Big Six because of stadium and they spent money.
They have, however,
They had a few good years.
they have had their history though is not something we shouldn't overlook. I'm fairly sure they're the only non-league team to ever go on to win the FA Cup. You
Yeah,
can
but
fact check me on that.
I'm
90% sure that's true.
I believe it is.
They've scored
correct.
less FA Cup goals than Kettering Town.
But
I mean, so has everyone else.
at the
But,
end of the day, Tottenham have got a long history. But then again,
but so
I'm
do
one of them
Villa,
who
so
don't
do
think
Nottingham Forest, so do
Everton.
Everton. So
Everton should be in the big six.
there's so many other clubs with brilliant histories.
No.
I'm not saying they should, but
We're not saying we're putting them in the big six.
yeah,
we're
I'm not
just
saying I'm putting Everton in Big Six, but there's
Would you?
plenty. No,
No.
not Everton.
No.
I go Villa.
No.
This isn't
I
even
know
a
what you're
bias
saying,
thing, no.
because you're
No.
a Liverpool fan.
No, it's not even a bias thing. Like, if you said this to me, like, what? Well,
I've
obviously-
said
or-
it to you multiple times
well,
this year
say
already.
this was like 20
I
20
think
years
you
ago.
should.
20 years ago, for example. If I was obviously like old enough, obviously, 20 years ago, I'd be like 2. So, but if I was like same age now, but 20 years ago, I'd say, yeah, Everton Big Six club. That makes sense. But nowadays, no. I think they've gone. I think the trophy that's gone on for too long. I think, and I think the fact that Villa and
What about
Forest.
Arsenal?
No, but
Their
come on.
trophy droughts gone proper
They won
trophy
some
droughts
FA
gone on for
Cups.
what? Nearly 20
They've won the
years?
FA
They've
Cup.
won the
FA
FA Cup
Cups,
multiple
Community
times.
Shields.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's more the fact that Villa and Forest, in particular, have obviously won European trophies. Forest have won 2 of them. So, but I'd put Villa in. But again, I think it should just be.
If I'm being completely
I
honest,
think it should be either be a big 5,
Yeah.
or a big 9.
I think Big Six should go off. I think it should only go off league achievements because we're talking about the Big Six in the Premier League. I think it should forget the FA Cup stuff.
No, we
I
should
think
So are
also
we taking Man
no.
United out and putting Leicester in?
They've won one.
They've won. They've won one in the
Premier
last 10
United's
years.
won 20.
or 11
Liverpool's
years.
won 20. Come
Well,
on.
you haven't won 20 Premier Leagues. You've won 20 league titles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Different name.
it's the same thing, man.
I think we
Well, it's a different
also
competition.
we should
It's
put
a different name. It just got renamed. And
Yeah,
things
they
got,
changed
some things
the-
got jiggled around. a
Some
bit
things got
under-
jiggled around,
underneath.
but it's not 20 Premier Leagues.
But it's 20 league titles. It's
League
very
titles.
similar.
Yeah.
I think
Very
plus European titles, league titles plus European.
And
titles.
FA Cups. The FA Cup is a great competition
think
that
the
should
FA
be
Cup-
respected.
It
FA
is,
Cup should be
but-
respected, yeah.
But when we're talking about the Big Six, we're talking about the Premier League, right? So I think it should just go off Premier League titles or league titles. If we're talking about the league itself, I think it should
No,
just go
because it's
on
the
that. If we're
biggest
talking
clubs
about a
in
Big
our
Six.
league.
in our league, yeah.
In our league or in our country.
Yeah.
2 different things. In our league, that's Premier League. Our country, then you can include like European titles and
I think that.
FA Cup
I
titles.
think you real. That's the same thing.
I think you've overcomplicated
Yeah,
it,
you
I
have.
think.
I haven't overcomplicated it.
You have.
I'm saying if it's a Big Six in the Premier League, then
Right.
that's what it
Sense
should
or
focus on.
nonsense?
That the Big Six should be abolished.
Well, the Big Six should still be a thing.
I think it should still be a thing. Yeah, I think it's sense.
No,
It
no,
creates a
No,
bit.
no, no. Then they all think it's nonsense then, because that their take is it shouldn't be a thing.
Shouldn't be a thing. Oh yeah, no,
So-
it should be a thing. Nonsense.
Nonsense. Dennis.
I think it should be a big 5.
So that so
You're
sense.
biased though.
No, I'm not
No,
being.
you are. You're biased.
No.
You're a
I'm not
Chelsea
being
fan.
ba-
Of course, you'd want to
no.
get rid of Tottenham.
I like Tottenham. I think Tottenham
I
are a
don't
good
I
club.
like Tottenham
I
as
have
well.
Tottenham
Because
Aaron Lennon was a brilliant player. So was Peter
Let me
Crouch
guess. Oh,
and
okay,
Nico
did he play-
Cranchar. They have plenty
Yeah.
of brilliant players who I've really enjoyed
Do
watching.
any of them have
I
any
just
links
don't
to
think-
Northampton? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
no.
saying?
No.
Basically?
I just don't think they're in that same
exactly.
bracket. As
I'm
in-
not.
bracket as
I'm
the
not
others.
being biased because like I don't want Tottenham out. Like we beat them every time. So
You have to
like,
chuck that
I
in,
want-
didn't you?
I want them there, but I just don't want them in the.
You
like-
want them there so you can beat them every time. is that what you're
Yeah.
trying to say?
I do like Tottenham. I think they're a
I
good
like
club
them
with
as
good
well, yeah.
fan base.
I
I like the stadium. It's
I like
nice
the
to watch
stadium as well.
Feel-
Beyonce
I feel
or
for
someone
the
there.
fan base, to
But-
be fair. I do feel for them. We're going through a lot of shit. And
I don't really. I think more Premier League fans should go through this because I think all of you should go through this.
we do go through this.
Who are you pointing at?
Avram and
Which
Joel
club?
Glazer. We're talking
Oh,
about
don't
Premier
give me
League-
this whole. That's another topic for
Avram and
another
Joel
week.
Glazer were the worst thing to happen to Manchester United since God knows what.
I think Chelsea have gone through us as well with like Todd Bowley, the new.
Oh, Todd Bowley, God help the man who invested billions of pounds into your club with new players.
Poor investment.
What a hard life.
Poor
What a
investment.
hard life.
Poor
What a
investment.
hard life
No,
having
it's not. It's
billions
not
of
good
pounds pumped into
investment.
your club. Oh, I feel so sorry for
If
you.
Northampton
No.
were bought by a multimillionaire tomorrow, you'd be rubbing it in.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I
You
wouldn't.
would be rubbing
Exactly.
it in.
I'm happy where we are.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think Chelsea fans are like, oh, we're having such a hard time with this guy. He just keeps putting a load of money in.
Load of
are
money
the Jason
in the wrong
Cundy of
places.
this podcast.
Yeah, he
You
is.
know what you're doing.
No, but
you
it's
know
true.
what you
It's
know what
true.
you're doing.
No,
My owner ran
wait,
off to Canada with £10 million of the taxpayers' money, and you're like, this guy keeps putting money in.
But if it's not
But if you're
working,
investing
it's
in it
not
right,
working.
And he shouldn't be putting money in
Yeah,
in the
no,
first
yeah.
place. Stop rage baiting. You're rage baiting.
It's like someone cooking you a
We need to stop
9-course meal.
biting to
No,
him,
yeah.
man.
I'm actually not rage
No,
baiting.
well,
It's someone it's someone cooking you a 9-course meal, and you're saying, "Oh, it's not my favourite chicken nuggets and chips."
Andrew,
Right,
Andrew,
right,
move
yeah,
on.
anyway,
Move on.
Move on. Right, okay. Lewis Hall is England's best left back.
What?
There is a lot of Newcastle taking the I will just warn you.
I know.
Can I go?
Who's got first?
England.
England's
I'll go
best left
sense,
back,
and
yeah.
I think there's only one player that will make me say that. I think there's only one other player of a conversation here, Nico O'Reilly, and he's been playing centre mid the last few weeks. So, I think Lewis Hall's a brilliant player. I think defensively he's amazing. Attacking, going forward, he's brilliant. I watched him. I was lucky enough to watch him for the England under-21s in November time, and he was superb then. He was just coming back from a bit of an injury spell. And even speaking to Lee Carsley after, he was also saying if he can get fit, get a good run of games, he'll be on that plane and competing for a starting spot at the World Cup. And I think he should be starting at the World Cup. Along with, if Livramento can get fit, he should be the right back.
Do you not think O'Reilly should be there?
I think O'Reilly should be
I
there.
think they both should go.
I think O'Reilly for me over Hall.
That's the only one
Such a
where
good
I'll...
player.
If England get to a World Cup final and O'Reilly's starting left back, or even in first group game, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. He's the only one where it's like fair enough.
I think he needs a little bit of time to put him in that category.
So who is?
I'd still pick O'Reilly.
I think it's sense. I think he's our best left back. Purely the fact is, I think if anything, Nico O'Reilly's not the one. Is the one that needs to prove himself a bit more. Because Lewis Hall's been about for 4 years now, I think. And
Well, he struggled when he got to that first season at Newcastle.
Well, yeah, that's because Eddie Howe wouldn't play him. But now he's playing like properly.
The last sort of three seasons.
Do you think Lewis Skelly's a bit too young to be going, or do
Yes.
you reckon he's?
I don't think he's too young to be
I
going.
also-
They took Walcott when he was 17.
I also don't.
already,
I
so-
don't think he's played enough.
Yeah, he just hasn't played.
Mhm.
He's started off really quickly
You're
last
throwing him
season,
in the
breaking
deep
into a
end.
team.
I think it's thrown him at the deep end of it when he's struggled relatively when he's played for Arsenal this season. I don't think he's ready to go yet.
But what better experience is it to throw him out on a world stage? You know, so he can, because he's playing in the Premier League. It's not like he's inexperienced at playing in big games on a big world stage.
No, he's not. But I just don't think he's as good as O'Reilly or Hall.
No, but
And
he'd
if
be
it
good
was
as
a different-
backup option, though, I'd definitely take
Yeah, but-
him.
I think with the limit, you take 26 players, don't you? I think 2 left backs, especially Hall and O'Reilly, is more than enough. Especially if you take in, I don't know, a Livramento as well, who can play right back and left back if needs be.
Mm.
Same with, Trippier won't go, but a Trippier.
Yeah, Trippier.
What about the best left back in English history, Luke Shaw?
No.
I know.
I'm taking
Phil
piss.
Neal.
What?
Phil Neal,
Phil Neal.
best left back in English history.
Phil
Well, he's
Neal.
played for Wales, but
best left back in English history plays for.
It plays for
Okay.
Wales. Okay.
Right. So, sense.
Seds.
Nonsense.
Nonsense.
I think it was
Sense.
better.
Okay. We will go with super teams don't work in football anymore, and by super teams I mean Galacticos.
Nonsense. I think if you've got the right manager, they can work.
I think they can work.
I
as
don't
well.
think. I think the only super team you've got at the minute is Real Madrid,
Yeah, that was the one that was targeted in particular when the
And
take was made.
I just don't think I think Gareth Bale was talking about on the overlap.
Yeah.
Xabi Alonso's too tactical and trying to
Yeah.
get them to play too much. Whereas when you've got a team that good, you can just, as he said, you can just, as Ancelotti and Zidane did,
Yeah,
tell them to go out
just
and
like you
play.
don't need tactics. You
Yeah.
let the players, like, because they're good players. They're like the best players in the world. Just let them do their thing, and they'll get results for
doesn't
sure.
always work though, because you've got to. I think when you talk about super teams, the main example that sticks out to me is England's golden generation. That just didn't work.
Yeah, but then I think it's because of a manager.
Just trying to put in names for sake of names.
Just not finding a system. I think if you've got the right manager,
I
it'll
always
work.
do worry though with super teams that it does end up becoming a bit like that. It's like you have to play these guys because you got, I don't know, director on the phone saying we need to sell more Mbappe shirts this week. Make sure he's playing. Or like,
Well, I think if you've got
I don't
Mbappe, you're going to play him.
no, I mean like if he's out of form and people try to push him to be back in. If he, even if,
But who are Real
the
Madrid
manager
going to
wants to put him
replace
out.
Mbappe with?
which is a fair point, but I don't know. Maybe say if he was on a bad run of form, most managers normally do sub people out for a game.
Yeah, but that's why it's a super team. You don't do that.
Which I get. I don't like that. So I'm a big fan of if you play well, then fair enough. You should be in the team every week, and keep doing good things. If you're on a bad run of form, I'm a fan of you should sit out and switch it up a bit. I think that if players should earn the right to play, and if a player's not doing it on the field and not doing it the way you want, then they should make way until they can make things right again and get back on form.
I think when you've got players like Mbappe and Bellingham, they play.
Well, we don't. Well, they're not like we're talking about refs. Like we're not infallible. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna have.
Yeah,
We're gonna have off weeks and a couple of
Mbappe's
weeks.
mistake is getting in behind and then missing a goal, but he's gonna that he should have scored. Then 5 minutes later he's gonna get in behind again and score. They make up for those mistakes.
Yeah,
They're that good.
Which is a fair point. I don't know. I've never really liked the whole idea of super teams. I think they're good for like selling merchandise and sometimes they're good to look at. But I just think 9 times out of 10 they always end in tears because a lot of these players have. I think something we haven't talked about, big egos. So it's like the clash and
I think all footballers have.
Someone always loses out.
I think if you go down to the National League, those players will also have big egos. So lots of not every
Ex-league
single
players
one.
who are maybe falling out of favour.
Not every single player, but lots of. I think all footballers and managers have egos.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. It's like to be honest, going back to shrimps, I think for some reason.
Are we now calling Morecambe a super team?
that's
Is
it.
it?
Morecambe-
What's going on here?
Well, in the minute under Jim Bentley, I won't be surprised. But no, Ashveer Singh Johal had a bit of a. I don't know how or why, because he never really proved it. He had a bit of an ego on him. He sort
I
of.
thought you quite liked him.
Right, moving on.
He strolled around the place with a bit of an ego. But yeah, I'm gonna. To be honest,
for me, it's
I'm gonna-
sense super teams are still a thing.
So you're saying
should
you're
it should
saying
be
they
a
don't
thing.
work anymore.
don't
They
work
work.
anymore.
They work.
So
They
you're
can
saying
work.
nonsense.
I'm gonna say sense.
So you're saying they
Don't
don't
anymore.
work.
Did I go nonsense?
I don't think we work.
Mm,
Yeah, you
yeah,
went nonsense. I
nonsense.
don't think we work.
I think
I'm
they can
going
work.
sense. I don't think they work anymore. I think Real Madrid this season. I think is the.
I
prime
think that's a
example.
managerial
That'll end in
problem.
tears.
No,
Yeah,
but
that'll
that's
end in
two
tears.
managers now. It's two managers. now
Yeah,
that
I
have
think
the
you
same
need an
problems.
elite
Elite
manager, a
manager,
certain
yeah.
type of manager.
Who?
An Ancelotti is
And
Zidane.
Ancelotti, Zidane, yeah.
Ancelotti had this last season and he still failed.
Yeah, but he also won the Champions League.
Yeah, but that wasn't a super team when they had the.
Yeah, it hasn't
problem.
worked with Mbappe yet, but it will.
Right, we'll do 2 more. We'll do. Right, this one's from. Oh yeah, right. Bly Spartans are the most famous non-league team in the world.
Can we
Go for
take
it.
the National League out of this?
Um,
Because I don't think
Can
the
I just
National
ask,
League
where
is.
the hell has this come from?
I don't think the National League is proper non-league anymore, with the amount of money, and it's all
Why Blythe?
professional.
Why Spartans? Out of any other team in the world, why Spartans?
because they've had these FA Cup giant killings.
Yeah, the FA Cup was kind of.
Marine. Well, we didn't kill. Obviously, we didn't kill.
If you look at the
Tottenham.
history of Spartans,
the
in the
giant
70s
killings,
they
but
did
they've
it, in the
still
2010s they did it, a couple of years ago they didn't do it. Where did they get to? Was it 74?
74, they got fifth round.
Fifth round.
Got third round in 2015. Third round in 2009.
They are branded as that is their branding, the
Giant killers.
most famous non-league football team in the world, and I think they are. I think what helps with that, if you take out the National League, obviously you've got clubs like Carlisle, York.
Come on, say it.
I'd say Spartans are more famous. Actually, no, not anymore.
In the
I think-
national league currently, we were a League Two side for what 10 years.
We're not talking about
10 years?
Morecambe.
Yeah,
This
but-
isn't about
we
Morecambe.
were from Morgan.
But no, I think away from the
20
National
years,
League, they
yeah.
are. I think also what helps them is Spartans. Who else? It's a very
niche name.
it's a very niche name which helps contribute to it. But the giant FA Cup giant killings. You go to the National Football Museum in Manchester, they've got stuff on Blythe Spartans. Maybe can I back Northamptonshire here and go Kettering Town?
No.
FA Cup. Let me give you two things why Kettering might be the most famous non-league team in the world. They are the highest goal scorers in FA Cup history. No team has scored more goals than them in the FA Cup history. They're also the first English team to have a shirt sponsor, Kettering Tyres, back in the 80s. They said whenever you watch a Premier League game or any type of football in England, the reason they have shirt sponsors is because Kettering trod that path first.
Right. Anyway,
that's an interesting
sense or
take.
nonsense because we've not got much time left.
Sense.
I think after talking about it, I've got to say sense. I think that's
Sense.
fair.
Sense. Right. One more. Sunderland will finish above Newcastle.
Interesting one. Sense.
Nonsense. I
I-
think Sunderland are
I think
falling away a bit.
I think looking at Newcastle's remaining games, they still have a bit of tough fixtures. They're not in the best of form. Well, they won against United with 10 men, but
Where's United?
I'm gonna do Jamie O'Hara.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna put out there nonsense because I think it depends on who wins the derby in the month, and I think Newcastle will win the derby.
I think Newcastle will have a much stronger end to the season. It's going to sort of. I don't want to say save Eddie Howe because I don't think he's going to get sacked regardless, but pull back the fan base where if they carry on like this, I think there will be more questions asked of him. But I think they're going to have a strong end to the season. Sort of, they're not. I don't think they're going to make Europe, but I think they will finish strong. I mean, if they can have a good summer, then obviously next season they can get back into the Champions League. But I think as well, Sunderland just lost to Port Vale,
Yeah.
and
that's-
I know John Brady is one of the best managers in the country, obviously, but
Of course, you better bring Northampton.
but
Sick of Northampton now.
but I do think Sunderland are unfortunately pulling away. Like,
Yeah.
I think they've got what they needed to, 40 points, and I think they're still gonna have a decent end to the season, but just not as good as Newcastle.
Newcastle.
I think Jacoby missing's the difference. He
But he's
made.
back.
But he's back.
Is he back
He's
now?
been, he's been
Yeah, he's
back for
back.
like the past 3 games.
Did he
games.
play yesterday?
He
So-
played-
played. He played
I can't
against
say I watched
Fulham.
it.
Game on.
He came on late though,
Like 70, 60.
and he played against Fulham. He came on also against
That's
Fulham.
quite interesting because I know, speaking to some people who work at Sunderland, how much of an impact that Xhaka has actually made.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty much the captain without being the captain,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. It's like
He
he's.
is a captain.
Yeah, he is the
He
captain.
is the captain.
No,
The ba-
cut that out, please.
You really need to
That's it,
brush
no
up on
boss.
your ball
I
knowledge.
do. No, well, he's made such an impact when coming in. I know through speaking to some people at Sunderland how much he's changed and professionalised things. It's like he's he's even setting like meal plans for players and stuff. It's like how how things have changed and how Sunderland have professionalised since coming up to the Premier League. I don't know. I just think if Xhaka can, now he's back, he can make that difference that he made originally, and if he can switch that light bulb on again, and off the back of that loss yesterday to Port Vale, if he can push on in the league and try and keep on doing well, because all they need to do is keep picking up points, and I do think that Newcastle will have a few more banana skins before the end of the season.
So you're saying nonsense?
I think.
Oh no, sorry, you're saying sense.
I think Newcastle will finish above Sunderland. Sunderland, I think, have had like poor form.
So you're saying nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Wrap this up.
Well, thank you all so much for watching. This has been Utter Football Nonsense, and I'm going to close it out with one last statement. The Old Firm derby is not the best in Britain. The best derby in Britain is Morecambe versus Accrington. See you next week.